Can you guess what I'm cooking? I'm sure this one ingredient right here gives it all away. Filipino spaghetti. This is my first time making Filipino spaghetti. I've eaten Filipino spaghetti many times. However, I've never made it. I always prefer to make my pastas from scratch or my pasta sauces from scratch. Or I use like a jar of Rao's from Costco. But this is the first time I'm using this, specifically this bag of sauce. This one says with banana ketchup, which when I looked up the recipe for doing Filipino spaghetti, banana ketchup was in it. So this is my shortcut. I bought this yesterday at the Filipino grocery store, and let me show you the other ingredients before I start cooking. So I'm going with pork. I saw a lot of videos using beef, but I think that pork would be perfect with this. Another thing I thought was interesting, one of the recipes called for pork bouillon, which I've never seen, but does sound delicious. But I am going to be using ground pork. And naturally, Filipino hot dog, the really red one. This is called tender and juicy. The guy at the grocery store said this is the one to go for. For the vegetables, I'm doing garlic, which I don't know if this is considered a vegetable, but yeah, you just gotta have garlic in Filipino food. Onion and carrot. I didn't see any videos using carrot, but why I love adding carrot, it's an easy way to add something healthy, and it's sweet. Since Filipino spaghetti is very sweet, that's a perfect complement to it. They call for some kind of water, but I'm gonna use chicken stock. I mentioned before the pork bouillon. I don't have that, so I'm using chicken stock. And then added tomato. We're gonna have tomato sauce, which I don't use tomato sauce very often. I like cooking it down from whole tomatoes. So I'm just using a jar of that. A lot of recipes call for tomato paste. So this will go perfectly with the chicken stock. When I looked at the ingredients of this is basically just tomato paste with water and a lot of sugar. But yeah, of course, I'm gonna use this whole pack here of the Filipino spaghetti sauce. And then the lady at the grocery store said I have to have Filipino cheese. So I grabbed this, E-Delicious, and I'm gonna shred this on top. This Filipino spaghetti, and these are the ingredients I'm gonna cook with. I just said, this is my first time cooking, so don't watch this video if you want an expert. But I have seen this being made. I've watched a lot of videos, and I kind of understand the gist of it. It's not that different from other spaghetti sauce recipes. The main thing is Filipino spaghetti is sweet. So think Jollibee's spaghetti, or even any Asian, including Japanese, they love putting things like ketchup. So Filipino spaghetti, I think, is the best of the sweet spaghettis. Not as popular in other parts of the world, but of course with Filipinos, and I'm hoping the kids like it. So I am just using regular spaghetti. This is the spaghetti that we get from Costco. I've got a huge pot with water that's starting to heat up. I'm using this Dutch oven to cook everything else in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the meat going and start prepping the other ingredients. So what I like to do is just get the meat going. This is my favorite brand of pork, Hempler's. It's a local brand here in the Seattle, Washington area. You can use any kind of pork, but this is what I'm using. The reason I went with pork versus beef, a lot of Filipino dishes use pork, and I think it's for a reason, because it's just so much more decadent. Get some avocado oil in there. And there's so much flavor in pork, so I thought very fitting. Now, if I could find that pork bouillon, I'm totally gonna buy some. There was a recipe that called for, funny enough, also liver. I didn't get any liver, but I think it was pork liver. I looked for it, but they did not have it at the regular grocery store. I'll have to look for it at the Filipino grocery store later. Really simple here. I am just going to get this browned up, get that flavor out of the pork, and then start to prep the other ingredients while this is going. Some pepper, salt. Now move on to the hot dogs. This is the first time I'm using Filipino hot dog. I've always wondered about this. I've eaten it in Filipino spaghetti before, but it's the first time I'm cooking it, and I've never just had it by itself, or at least I can't recall. I don't even know how much I should be using right now. I think I'm gonna go ahead and use 6. Save the other one for maybe a hot dog for the girls one day. When I was looking up recipes, I saw canned hot dog, which I thought was interesting because I've never heard of canned hot dogs other than Vienna sausages, and I wonder if they sometimes use Vienna sausages. I did see recipes using this specific hot dog. I'm going with this just because that's what I bought, but one day maybe I'll have to try it. It's interesting to think about Filipino cooking and the fact that they do eat a lot of pork and their beef is not as prominent there. I've seen beef cows, or just cows in general, cattle I guess you would say, and they're really scrawny looking. So different than American cattle, which are really beefy, no pun intended, really fat and really big. I like all kinds of meat. There you go. Here's the hot dogs. Nothing fancy here. I'm just going to slice this up really thin. Whenever I do pasta sauces, especially for the girls, I like the onions and the vegetables be minced up so that they're not gonna feel any textures. Now our girls, they actually like vegetables, they're not against it, but it's nicer when it's hidden from them. And especially if other kids are eating here, why not just make sure the vegetables, including onions, are incognito, I guess you could say. If you wanna know how to mince onion, just make these cuts lengthwise. It doesn't even have to be thin. Turn it. You can go super careful. In fact, it's easier, especially if you're a beginner. Go slow, and you can get these into really small pieces. Because of the sake of time, I'm not gonna further mince these, but if I wanted them to be even smaller, you could do that. Pork's just about there. Something I've been doing lately is taking a potato smasher like this to further mince the meat up. Same thing as the vegetables. I don't want big chunks of meat other than the hot dogs. That's actually preferred to be chunky and bigger, but with the ground pork or the ground beef, I want it minced up, and this tool is perfect for that. By the way, I have it on high heat right now. See that browning on the side? I want that, including on the meat itself. I will definitely cook this till it's well done because I want that flavor to come out when it sears the meat and gets that browning. Yeah, the pork is done. It's actually starting to stick to the bottom. You can see that browning happening, which is perfect. It's exactly what I want, but I am going to remove this. I know sometimes people will continue just cooking it all together, but I find if you remove the meat, you're gonna get better searing and better cooking of the other ingredients. Now, I'm not too worried about getting all of this out, just most of it, if not 98% of it. All the little bits and pieces, even if they kind of get overcooked, it's just more flavor. As long as you don't burn it, of course. There we go. Put this over to the side here. Probably notice I don't have mise en place going on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and brown the hot dog just the same. There we go. I'm not necessarily worried about cooking the hot dogs. I just wanna get this also browned. It's gonna be real quick. Let it do its thing for a hot second. Okay, these hot dogs are perfectly cooked. I'm cooking these just until I kind of smell them. I'm not even trying to get a sear like the pork or browning at all. Now I can see the bottom of the pan is starting to get dark to the point where it's kind of burning. Look at that. This hot dog released a whole bunch of fat. Not expecting that. Now normally I would want to add the carrot in here as well, but I don't have enough time. So I'm gonna add the carrots or the onions right now, just so that the pan doesn't burn, because you don't want the blackness happening at the bottom. In fact, I'm gonna lower the heat down. Hopefully these oils kind of help release all that burnt pork. Acid of the onions helps release it. You know what I'm gonna do here? A little trick. Just deglaze it with a little chicken stock. Just trying to prevent the bottom from burning. There we go. Oh, that's perfect, see? Scraping all that off, preventing it from turning black. And we'll just continue prepping the other ingredients. I'm gonna keep this on a low, or maybe medium. For the carrot, really simple. I need to wash this first. Peel it. I don't know about you guys, but I use my sink as my compost. I'm gonna chop this up, just chunks, big chunks. I'm gonna show you what I do here. And to finish this off, a little food processor. This is a KitchenAid, very small, really convenient, easiest way to chop vegetables, especially something like carrots, even onions. I could have done the onions, but I can do it pretty quick with onions, and onions soften enough. But with carrots, you want it to be super small. I'm gonna do even the puree. Scrape it down. Gonna return the heat up to high. Gonna add all these carrots. See, they're chopped up so small that even though I will cook them and you will see them initially, once I add all that moisture, the chicken stock, it's basically gonna boil away. I'm just gonna cook this for a few minutes and then start adding everything back in here. I will add a few cloves of garlic, not too many. This is not adobo. It's always a temptation. I'm gonna do 3 really big cloves though with Filipino cook. I think with really any kind of cooking, adding lots of garlic is something I used to do. Just thinking more garlic, more better. I found over the years I tone it down. Even though I do love garlic, it can kind of mask the flavor of other ingredients. Okay, so one thing I do like to do is remove that green part. I mean, no, especially my Filipino cooks, you guys remove it. I don't like that part in there. Deglaze this guy. This garlic press was one of my first fancy and pricey cooking buys. I used to have a cheap garlic press and then I broke it and I bought another cheap one. I didn't think it was cheap, I thought it was decent. Broke. So I think these days I type in commercial grade and I found this one made in Italy. I don't know what brand, but if you're looking, look for this one. Just type in like Italian made garlic press. Yeah, I don't see a name, but it looks like this. Very nice. Okay, I'm not trying to brown the garlic at all. I'm just gonna activate it. Now I am going to start adding all the liquids. There's really honestly no order here from all the videos I saw. Gonna add all the chicken stock. Maybe add a little bit less. Filipino spaghetti sauce. Smell it here. It really just smells like tomato paste mixed with water. Make sure to get all that goodness. I'm gonna fold from the bottom here. Can of tomato paste. Oh, look at that. Already has an opener on there. There we go. I've got the heat on high right now, by the way. I don't know why, but this can, you have to open it upside down with this can opener. Can't open it from the top. There we go. I don't think I'm gonna use all of this. Maybe half the can. This is why I like those little tubes from Italy. You just use as much as you need. Everything's all mixed in. The only thing left to do is add the meat, which I will do, but I'm gonna let this just reduce slightly and then add the meat. I don't know how the hot dog will behave if you start getting this to a simmer, if it will break apart or not. So I'm just gonna hold off on adding it. While the pasta water is boiling, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up. I'm gonna add some salt in there. Not too much pepper. If you know, you know. In about, I want to say 6 to 7 minutes, I'm gonna return the meat back in. It's reduced slightly, but I definitely want to reduce it even more here soon. Once this cooks for another 7 to 10 minutes, I will be checking the flavor, adding salt, anything else I think it might need, and potentially more sugar. Whoa, lots of salt. I'm gonna do a whole pack of spaghetti. One thing about Filipino spaghetti, it's one of those dishes you just kind of leave out. Normally when I do a pasta, I insist on everybody sitting down and ready so that I can make their pasta individually. But with this, it's one of those platter type of dishes you see at Filipino parties, just sitting there. You can grab at it whenever you want. It's a good one in my opinion. I guess any of my spaghettis can be this, but it's kind of meant to just be cooked ahead of time, ready to eat whenever people are ready to eat. This will cook for 10 minutes. A lot of the recipes I saw called for the pasta to be al dente. Hey Juliana.
Hey.
I'm making Filipino spaghetti.
Oh my gosh, Dad, I can smell it from outside.
Whoa!
Halfway through the driveway.
That's good. It's really strong. It's like what Mama used to make. Okay, speaking of Mama, this is one of the dishes that I wanted to cook this year to kind of keep the cooking spirit of Mama alive with us, because there's a lot of foods that me and Judy didn't ever cook and still don't cook, or we're slowly starting to learn that Mama cooked that I don't want the girls to lose. You know, Filipino spaghetti, so it seems basic, but I don't think it's basic. I think there's something to it that's very unique to Filipino, you know, palates. And one of those things being, they like a sweet spaghetti. So I've never done this before. Well, actually, I have put some sugar in some, but very little. A lot of the recipes called for a lot more than what I'm about to put in. See, the thing is, the sweetness of my pasta sauces come from caramelized onions, the carrots, cooking the tomatoes down, because there is a sugar aspect to tomatoes. But with Filipino spaghetti, they straight up put regular sugar in there. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Don't need no sugar. That's already sweet. I don't even need this spoon. Okay, that is bomb. Honestly, I don't even think it needs anything right now. That is, whew. I'm actually kind of shocked. I'm shocked. This tastes amazing. Doesn't need anything. I'm really excited for Judy to try this. But what I was saying before, obviously, you don't want too much sugar in your diet. And I used to have, I would say, dogma against anything sweet, anything with lots of sugar. Thinking, of course, I want myself and my kids to eat really sweet things. But one of the changes in philosophy I have, and Mama was a huge influence on this, is number one, not having dogma about food. And then two, so much of healthy eating also comes from something intangible that we can't see, which is the love that gets put into the food. And that comes in so many different forms, whether it's caring about the ingredients or caring about how it's cooked, you know, an experience cooking something to perfection. And there's this nostalgia, power, or caring aspect of cuisine, especially that you grew up with or that your mom cooks for you, hence Mama and the girls, that you really can't equate, or it's hard to measure in terms of the health benefits and really the benefits overall in life. A lot of these recipes, we just found one of Mama's old cookbooks. We're just trying to cook it the way she made it and not alter it too much. I don't know if Mama put carrots in hers or not, but that's the only thing I did that's a little bit different. And tell me what you think about the flavor.
Why don't you get a bowl?
You're gonna have to wait, just so that you have something, just in case it spills.
You got even cheese?
No, that's called E-Delicious. It's a little different, I think. Do you remember Mama's pasta sauce?
It's perfect.
Right?
It's better than Jollibee.
Woo!
It's so good with Oh, that feels really good.
That's really good, right?
I even like sweet pasta. That's really good.
It's bomb. I'm telling you, it's bomb.
Yeah, I do like sweet pasta, but that's really good.
Okay, all right, pasta's almost done. I'm gonna remove most of this sauce because I'm gonna put all the pasta in here and finish this all off. Well, another thing that was kind of different with different recipes is some people just put the pasta on a plate and the sauce on top of that. And I did see a couple that do it the way I've learned how to do, or I prefer, which is you pan fry the pasta, and not even pan fry, just mix the pasta in with the sauce directly and plate it like that. I'm gonna do a little bit of both. I'm gonna remove almost all the sauce, and then I'm gonna put the rest of the spaghetti inside of this pot so that it can still get coated, maybe even have the heat on so it really sears in those flavors. And then I will top each one of the girls' dishes with a little bit of extra sauce. Hopefully Judy loves this. Man, I should make a Filipino spaghetti pizza with this. Okay, this is very hot. Ooh! I am gonna take a little bit of this water, have it in there. Oh yeah. So the heat is on high right now, and I'm not trying to further cook the pasta noodles or the spaghetti noodles too much, but I do want to add a little bit of heat. Some of that sauce is going to get not only soaked into the spaghetti, but it's going to sear in there and it's going to get really concentrated. Another thing I didn't see anybody do that I was teaching about how to cook this sauce was add a little bit of extra pasta water. See, there's starches in this pasta water that when it gets activated by heat, it does thicken it up. And what I do like about doing that is Filipino spaghetti is quite thick. One guy that I watched, I got his name, sorry, he would add flour to his meat mixture. And I'm assuming that's literally just to thicken it up. So in a way, you're getting that same result, but without the flour, just the natural starches of the spaghetti. Oh yeah, that's looking amazing. Woo! I'm really looking forward to trying this. I don't usually go for Filipino spaghetti because I always wanted to cook my spaghetti from scratch, but this is so delicious, this sauce. And it's been a long time since I had it, especially Mama's. It's gonna bring back a lot of good memories, especially for Judy and hopefully the girls. Yeah, I am gonna use this cheese, delicious. Never used this before. I mean, as you can probably tell, super processed cheese here. I'm not sure if this is even going to shred. I just realized this is in replacement of Parmesan. A lot of Filipino cooking, especially this, is basically a result of not having the thing that you would normally cook with, like this, replacing Parmesan. The big tomato sauce packs, because they don't have fresh tomatoes or whole canned tomatoes, are too expensive. And then the hot dogs, obviously canned hot dogs.
I like it.
What's the critique? Juliana said she loves it.
You know what? I love it. I like that it's not overly sweet.
Want some, Juliana? It's funny, I actually think it's super sweet, but it's so funny that she says it's not as sweet because this is maybe 8 times more sweet than what we would normally have. I can see why when you add that sugar for a lot of people, especially Filipinos, it would be so much better. I think this is a nice balance between how we like it and still making it Filipino spaghetti. Hopefully the girls like it. Okay, I made Filipino spaghetti and I need you to be the judge of this, okay? Tell me what you think. There's some Filipino hot dogs in there. Filipino sauce, Filipino hot dogs, Filipino cheese.
The cheeses are melted.
Aww.
What do you want me to say?
Nothing. Is it good or bad?
It's good.
Do you have any critiques or suggestions?
Oh, the cheese.
Yeah, the cheese needs to be melted. That is kind of a thing. I saw another YouTube video where this Filipino lady was trying somebody else's Filipino spaghetti and she made the comment that the cheese needs to be melted. I guess, well, you broil it maybe under the oven broil. There you go. That is my Filipino spaghetti first time cooking vlog, and I'd say it was a win. I really enjoyed it. That was really good. What would I do differently next time? I'd probably try some of these other more traditional ingredients. I don't know if it's traditional or not, but
really good.
yeah, that you see other YouTube chefs adding. Having another bowl, but for dessert today we're having pillows, which is just such an interesting name for a snack. These are ube filled and delicious. This is what the girls picked at the Filipino grocery store. They asked for seconds.